This is Harley Howard, and welcome to What Saith the Scripture radio program. Come join us with your Bibles open as we study through the Gospel of Luke. Sitting in your pajamas, your computer, your wife is on the other computer, and you could write her a divorce paper. She don't even know it until she gets to work. It's amazing. The divorce was immediate and final. The Pharisees and other religionists were marrying and divorcing at an alarming rate. Obviously, this had an effect on the very religion they taught others. So what is the example? What does the example of the rabbis and teachers say when they're marrying and divorcing? Well, it must be okay. They're doing it. You know what? That's exactly what it taught. And their examples were the springboard of all kinds of immoral behavior, including adultery and divorce. They watched it among the leaders. Hey, let's do it. This final teaching in the remaining verses reveals at the very least that covetousness will lead to eternal doom. No doubt this parable was directed at the greed of the Pharisees and scribes, and remember that these men cared nothing for the poor, but only for themselves and their ilk, or their particular class of people. And we've seen that truth over and over again in this gospel alone. So we're going to deal with the rich man and Lazarus. That's the remaining portion of our study. And at this chapter, we'll probably finish this chapter today sometime. Verse 19, there was a certain rich man which was clothed in purple and fine linen and fared sumptuously every day. Again, this is something I said a long time ago, that when you run into these passages where Jesus talks about rich people, it's never favorable. Because of the behavior of the people. It's not that they're rich, it's their behavior with their wealth, and it's all consistent. And people like this stuff doesn't go on today. It's going on before Jesus was on earth, and it's going to go on until the end of time as we know it. The end of this earth and all of its sin. So we can see the man was rich. It says talk about a certain class, a particular class of rich man. This man was rich. When you say a certain rich man, it speaks of a particular class of rich men. He was abounding in riches, abounding in it. It was also his habit to clothe himself with the finest clothes made from the finest materials. Okay. This was not the exception of his life, it was the habit of his life. Look at what it says, which was clothed in purple and fine linen, and fared sumptuously when? Every day. He lived like this every day. So this was the normal part of his life. You know, some rich people, they don't do this stuff. You know, they like, pair of baggy pants and a sweatshirt or a tank top. But this particular person fared sumptuously and lived and had the best clothes every day. He was clothed in purple. This color was very expensive to produce and was chiefly worn by princes, nobles, and those who were very wealthy. It was a difficult color to even obtain. I never liked purple. What color is this shirt anyway? Just to make sure. Thank you. I don't know. I don't like purple. I think purple's a girly color. Purple and pink. Don't ever get me nothing pink. That's offensive. Purple I probably would wear, but I wouldn't want to tell nobody. I don't like pink as the color. Nah, pink is for girls. Well, you look nice in the pink shirt. No, you look nice in the pink shirt. I don't look nice in the pink. I think it's what I think that matters. I don't look good in anything pink. Pink is for females. I am not a female. Thank you very much. If they made money in pink, I'd have to get me some change because I just don't like that. Just don't care for it. My color is black. See, well, black is not a color. I know it's not, but I like black. I could wear black shirts every day. I'd be a happy man. Except in this kind of heat, white would make me very happy. But this purple color was very expensive. And there were three particular shades of purple: deep violet, deep scarlet or crimson, and deep blue. Even they consider deep blue to be a purple. He was also dressed in the finest of linen. This linen was chiefly produced of the flax that grew on the banks of the Nile in Egypt. It was especially soft and white and was therefore much sought as an article of luxury. And like the purple garments, it was so expensive that it could be worn only by princes, by priests, or by those who are very rich. So here's a person who was so rich that they had the best clothing every day. 7 days a week, they had the best clothing, the most expensive clothing. I mean, the most colorful clothing. They weren't being ashamed of who they were. In this case, who he was. He was also a man who had no shortage of food or any desire. It says he fared sumptuously every day. The word sumptuously didn't mean he went out and got the Angus burger at McDonald's and a large order of fries. He supersized, and that was his sumptuousness. No. The word sumptuously means extravagantly, lavishly, expensively. The gaudy, the big, the huge. They can have this long 8-foot, 9-foot, 20-foot table. And you sit at one end, they sit the other, and the butler will bring in the food and lay it down there perfectly on it and lift up the thing and this huge, giant, whatever. And they would just, eat till you bite out the... Ding, 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 ding. Wilford, yes, my lady, I'm done today. Would you please remove this from me? Mm-hmm. And he didn't ask whether she wanted to save it. He goes over to the trash can. That's it. Sumptuously every day. Extravagantly, lavishly. On a daily basis. He was enjoying not only the most sumptuous fare on the table every day, but every sensual enjoyment, he was living it up. Rich beyond his needs, lived in the best kind of splendor that money could buy. Now, let's look at the antithesis, the exact opposite in every sense of this man. Verse 20. And there was a certain beggar named Lazarus, which was laid at his gate full of sores. So here's the exact opposite of this rich man. There was a certain beggar. The word beggar speaks of a pauper, strictly denoting absolute or public begging for all of his daily means. So he had no means of any kind. He had to beg every day. There was no welfare. There was no public housing. There was no AFDC. There was begging every day of his life. He had no medical coverage. He was begging every day, period. So whereas this rich man was filled to the full, Lazarus had nothing. Now, I think we've all, at one time or another, thought to ourselves, boy, we're broke. No, we might not have had a particular income at the moment we wanted something or at the moment something had to get paid. But somehow income was coming somewhere. Something was going to be late, but something was going to get paid. Okay. Now that's one thing. That's not being broke. Being broke means you ain't got no house. You ain't got no car. You ain't got no payments because you ain't got no money. You don't have anything. We call them bums. Used to call them bums. Now, of course, that's not politically correct. So we call them the homeless. What else? Any other? Indigents. What else? Transients. Yeah, this kind of going from one place to the other. And that's kind of out of phase now. We want to call them transients because that's the one where it really tugs at the heart. The less fortunate. What do you mean fortune? Fortune doesn't give a person a job, but takes one away. Less fortunate. That's mumbo jumbo. Again, thinking person wants to know, How did he get in that condition? Why don't we ask him how he got in that condition? Feeling person says, that's none of your business. Racist. You know, and on, we ain't going back there. But Lazarus had nothing. There was nothing to go home to. There was no bills to be paid because there was no bills because you had nothing. He didn't have to worry about rent because there was no rent to pay. There was no place to go to. Lazarus was laid at the rich man's gate. That's interesting too. He was laid there. Notice it says, which was laid at his gate. It didn't say he laid himself at his gate. Lazarus didn't go there and just lay himself at the gate of the rich man. No, he was laid at the rich man's gate. He was, in fact, the word means he was thrown. The Greek word has in mind something that's just tossed, and the person who throws doesn't care where it lands. Just throw it away. And so Lazarus was just thrown away like a piece of trash. He was just carried and thrown there and left there. And in fact, the word also implies that there was some kind of contempt and roughness that was implied. He was just thrown there in contempt, just thrown at the person's gate. He was also full of sores, meaning that all over his body he had wounds which produced discharged pus. So it probably was an indication that he was emaciated, he was poor, he was infected, he couldn't walk or had very limited mobility, and then he had all these huge blister pussy sores that were oozing pus from all over his body. Yeah, that's the exact opposite. Verse 21, and desiring to be fed with the crumbs which fell from the rich man's table, moreover, the dogs came and licked his sores. Now, the word desiring is the same word that we saw with the prodigal son desiring to eat the swine's food. The same word, this great desire, this hunger that was driven to the place where this young man was ready to eat pig's food. Lazarus desired not a plate at the table. He didn't need a plate at the table. He didn't desire a doggy bag, so to speak. He didn't even ask for a meal. In fact, he was thrown there, so it wasn't like he was there on his own accord. He only desired the crumbs, the tiny morsels of food that the rich man didn't eat because he was full. He had to compete for the wild dogs to get his food. That's what's implied here. Is that the crumbs were actually given to the wild dogs. So Lazarus had to compete with dogs to get food. And I've noticed for many years, whether the home be lost or saved, that the more money people make and the more extravagant they live, the more wasteful they become. And I've also noticed that even in Christian homes, that some Christians are more ready to feed their dogs than they are other people. It never ceased to amaze me that many professing believers are just as worldly people. They do exactly the same thing. They become extravagant, and suddenly the dog is a part of our family. The dog is a dog. If you let that gate open long enough, you'll see just the dog, just how little the dog thinks that he's a part of your family. That's your distorted view of Fido. Okay, open that gate. When your gate is, you don't run. Your wife doesn't run, and your husband doesn't run, and act like they know where to come home to. You know, you don't see him doing like this, running. Even your kids, they get hungry, they know how to come home. But you got Fido chained and locked up, or Fifi or whatever, because the second that gate's open, Fifi gonna look for another family, because Fifi ain't got the same mentality you do. In fact, we keep giving all these animals all these human characteristics, but that dog will run like the wind, because that dog's gone. Then you run around there slapping posters on telephone poles, with the words, you got the dog's face, "I'm lost," like like the dog made the poster before he ran or something, with a phone number and a reward. Like the dog will give you a reward. "I'm lost," just people are more concerned about their animals than they are about people. They won't feed, and they'll throw away good food, or they give it to the dog or the cat. It's astonishing to me how dogs eat better than people food. I have watched Christian women take whole plates of perfectly good food that their bratty, spoiled children would not eat and throw it all away. Man, they would never survive in the family I grew up with. You wouldn't think of going anywhere near that trash can with no food on that plate. Mom and Dad said, every bit of meat better be off them bones. See, you look at my place now, and man, Pops, there's nothing left. That's part of my childhood. That's part of my training. Always, and listen, the fact is, I've left a lot, because back then we ate gristle. We didn't have nothing. You had to eat that gristle too. All that gristle on them chicken at the bottom of the chicken drumstick, we'd eat that too, because we didn't have much. Ketchup sandwiches only last for so long, so when some kind of thing called meat came in the house, we just sucked, and then we broke those drumstick bones, sucked that marrow out. Say, what none of this? Oh, well, I'm looking like, what are you doing? Well, he or she didn't want it. Psh, bring me the plate. I put that stuff in a Ziploc and take it on. I'll bring you the plate back another day. What's wrong with you, for? Wasteful. Just wasteful. And no guilt about it. You put a nice, perfectly good plate of food in front of that big old brat. I want it, and push away. All right, honey. I want hot dogs. Howard home, put that plate there. Growing up, that's it. You have fork and spoon. Yeah, you may not like it, but you go eat it, because A, that's pretty much what you're going to get. There was no option B. Oh, you want hot dogs and ice cream? Okay. Yeah, and put the ice cream on the hot dogs. All right. And put a little Bosco on it too, a little syrup, whatnot. And throw a hamburger and put some potato chips. Oh, yeah. Then that's what you get, your little brat, instead of making them thankful for the food they got. Because there was that time, and I don't regret it. His mom couldn't fix liver. There was no liver I'd like, except the one in my body, because I know what it does. But any meat you got to drown in 8 gallons of liquids, there's something wrong with the meat. Well, it does. You can't taste the livery taste. If you have to not taste the livery taste of what that says about the food. You take that teaspoon of liver and put it in a bucket of gravy. Where's the gravy? It's up in the liver and it's still dry. No. I ate the corn and that piece of bread and went to bed sniffling. I said, I hardly don't do no liver. I just have to cry tonight. And they laughed at me. He said, you what I put, well, Ma, you can have that. Well, get up off the table. Okay, I'm off the table, because But I've seen women throw whole plates of food away. Good food. Brad didn't even touch 95% of it. And if you get a spoon and wipe off the place where they slobbered off the rest of it, you got a whole good plate of food right there. You know, they crying and the boogers and run out. Get that about that corner, just wipe that off, get it, and you got a whole good plate of food. You don't give that to your doggone dog or give it to the trash can. Even a dog I send up trying to knock the trash can down. Doggone rope. Translate, there's some good food in here and wait for you to go to work. Your dog, maybe he is smart. Wait for you to go to work, knock that trash can down, and he sit and eat all that food. Dog be all asleep right there by the trash can. He gonna get a whooping, but he don't care. He full. He got some human food. You won't give that to the poor. You won't give it to the needy. But they didn't mind giving it to the trash. That's evil. That's evil. You won't give to the poor as the Spirit of God and the truth compels you to do, but you're going to give it to the trash without even thinking about it. Give it to the garbage. What kind of people, what kind of faith do we think we have? What is this professed faith that we think we have? Do you think the Holy Spirit said, put that food in the trash? You think all the Bible we claim to know tells us throw that food in the trash? You certainly ain't gonna say give it to the dog. Give that dog on Alpo. Treat that dog the same way you treat somebody else at the dinner table. You get it eventually. And I've known my mother, she put a plate in the refrigerator, wrap it up in that saran wrap. You come out there tomorrow, wait for something else, the plate right there, rip it off, the same food you had last night. Everybody else eating something different because they ate theirs last night. And she tell you, and when you finish eating that, then you get something else. Get up off this table. So you back to that room with nothing. Wrap that puppy back, throw it in the refrigerator. Next night, you come and you thinking maybe she done forgot. Next day, plate right back in front of your face again. And you finally get the message. Okay. After a while, all that tastes good. But it didn't taste good when you had it, but your memory, your mind gets right. And she put the same food in front of you. Oh, it's good now. Your mind programmed this. It's okay. It's okay. And after, it ain't that bad. Because I don't want to eat this tomorrow. 2 days later, it don't taste the same. Okay, well, you should have ate it. Clink, clink. Chicken wings, drumsticks, whole corn, potatoes, bread, all in the trash. They want to cry because we see some poor person on television with flies coming out their nose and grab that controller and switch it as fast as we can, so we don't have to remind ourselves that all that food we put in the trash can for the month could have fed that whole family. Bunch of hypocrites. I'll say this in closing. For all the faults my mother had, she always was very frugal with food. I never met a woman. She was so frugal with food. She could do anything with anything. That woman did anything with anything. I was amazed when she was sober. That woman could do things with the littlest food. That was passed down to me a lot. There were many days I had little or nothing. A potato and some seasonings. I said, you need to get me $1 can of corned beef hash, make myself some food. I took that potato, sliced it up, chopped it, put that corned beef hash in there, let it boil, a little salt, a little pepper. Oh, I was jamming. All that frugality my mother taught me. So I don't understand it. Grew up poor for some time, and even after we moved into a better community, we never forgot our roots and never forgot the blessing that it was to have food when you could get it. And the last time I saw my mother alive, she was still as frugal as ever with food, never wasteful with it. And she lived in a very poor part of Jamaica. Very poor. There were more roaches than people in that area. I mean, you turn around, you think it's a person. It's some roaches. And there's one creature, one of God's creatures I don't care for is roaches. They nasty, filthy nasty. I don't want to see no roach. I'll tolerate an ant, a beetle, a lion, but roaches, no. And when I was there, they were everywhere. And I'm like, oh, I'm just living. My blood pressure must have been through the stratosphere because I couldn't sleep. Because you know they end up on the bed somewhere. Some sitting in a chair off the wall with no blanket or anything touch the floor. And I'm thinking they can climb. And they probably have been on this chair already. And I'm thinking, I need to get on an earlier flight like today because, you know, I'm getting tired of, and you see roaches of every kind of albino roaches like, oh man, I'm ruined for life. A white roach. Yep, white roaches. Guess they didn't get out in the sun too much. Roaches all over the place. But Mom, she had them 3 squares every day. I was there, 3 squares. She's frugal with that food. I said, Mom, put all that in the refrigerator, please. Wrap it tight. Quick, put the refrigerator. For the roaches know you fixed it, because I know they're watching. And at night, I wouldn't go in that kitchen. Wouldn't turn that switch on. Not me. I let someone else turn on, come back in 5 minutes when they're all gone. But she always had those meals. Never wasteful. You didn't see her throwing anything in the trash except bones. Because what we didn't eat yesterday, we're going to eat tomorrow. Or if it was 2-3 days old, she'd put some beans on, throw all that stuff in there. And you swear it was new. Yes, same old food you didn't eat 2-3 days ago. Now it became, beans and chicken and bacon and like eggs and rice. Wow, this great succotash. Yeah, you're the sucker, and I'm tashing everything in here. So she is extremely frugal. The wild dogs were licking the pus off the sores of Lazarus. My goodness, an unimaginable scene, but not uncommon in many streets in impoverished nations today. And frankly, probably in some places here in America too. And the way that the unemployment rate is going up, it won't be long. It'll be an unimaginable scene. It's going to be something that we're going to probably see a lot more of. Lord, thank you again for this teaching this day, Lord. And as always, I do pray that we would grow and meditate upon the things which we've heard. And Father, those that hear would also do the same. Ultimately, Lord, that you be glorified in all things. Thank you for listening to What Saith the Scripture radio program on Word Central Radio. May God bless you and keep you until next time is my prayer.